Have you ever felt the profound ache of being utterly present for someone, only to find your presence treated as commonplace, as expected as the rising sun? Have you poured your energy, your time, your very soul into a connection, only to feel yourself becoming invisible, taken for granted until you are nothing more than a whisper in the background of their life? If this deep truth resonates within your soul, if you've ever felt this particular sting of solitude amidst connection, I want you to know you are not alone. Your experience is real, it is valid, and it is a sacred signal from the universe that a profound shift in your energetic alignment is required. Let your spirit be seen in the comments below with a simple "I resonate" or 777 to connect with the souls who understand this journey. Like this message, subscribe to this channel for more divine guidance, and share this wisdom, for you may be the lighthouse for someone else lost in the same fog. They do not value you because your divine light is always shining for them. Your spiritual wellspring is always open. You have become the ever-present constant in their chaotic universe. And in the strange and often painful economy of human connection, what is always available is seldom truly cherished. You are the ever-ready harbor in their emotional storms, the constant lighthouse on their shores. Your energy, a boundless well from which they draw without a second thought, without a moment of gratitude, without ever pausing to consider the sacred source from which it flows. Every text, a swift and thoughtful reply. Every call, a voice of immediate comfort and reassurance. Every invitation, a joyful and unconditional acceptance. Every breakdown, a patient and compassionate ear. Every crisis, a steady hand to guide them through the darkness. You believed with every fiber of your being that this unwavering devotion was the currency of love, the very definition of loyalty. You gave them unlimited access, not just to your time, but to the deepest, most sacred chambers of your heart. You gave them your presence, a gift more precious than any material possession, and you gave it freely, without condition, without expectation. And what was the universe's reflection of this boundless giving? What did they offer in return for this ocean of devotion? A deafening void, a chasm of indifference, the cold, sharp edge of disrespect. And then, the ultimate vanishing act, their slow, or perhaps sudden disappearance from the landscape of your life. You offered them a universe of your presence, and in return, they handed you the cold emptiness of a forgotten star. You poured out your soul like a libation, and they let it soak into the barren ground without a second glance. You thought that being this constant, this available, this endlessly giving, was the path to being loved, to being indispensable. But the hard divine truth is that it did not make you a cherished treasure. It rendered you invisible, a part of the background scenery of their lives. It made you utterly, tragically forgettable. You must awaken to a fundamental law of energy, a sacred principle of the universe. What is abundant, what is endlessly available, is ignored. Its vibration becomes so commonplace that it fades into the background noise of existence. But what is scarce, what is rare, what is not easily attained, that is what is worshipped. That is what creates a powerful gravitational pull. Water is life, yet who worships a single drop in the ocean? It is the oasis in the desert that is revered as a miracle. Gold is precious not merely for its luster, but for its rarity, for the effort required to bring it into the light. The air we breathe is essential for our every moment of life, yet we take it for granted until we are gasping for it. This is not a flaw in the universe. It is a fundamental aspect of perception and value. An old master of human nature, Niccolo Machiavelli, once revealed a stark truth that echoes through the corridors of time. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. They see your constant availability, not as a sign of your deep love and loyalty, but as a sign of commonness, of low value. They cannot penetrate the surface to see the divine sacrifice you are making. When you are always available emotionally, physically, energetically, you strip yourself of all mystery. You become a predictable pattern, a known quantity, a comfortable certainty. And you must understand this divine truth. Certainty, while comforting, is the mortal enemy of desire. It is the tranquil pond that reflects everything but inspires no voyage. It is mystery, the uncharted sea that beckons the soul and ignites the flames of obsession. You've been conditioned by a world that misunderstands the nature of true connection. You've been trained by movies, by societal narratives, by the wounded patterns of your own parents, by the advice of broken people, to believe that loyalty is proven through constant proximity, that love means erasing all your boundaries. But here is the truth, the core of this entire spiritual lesson. They do not chase what they already possess. They chase what they fear losing. And right now, in the comfortable certainty of your endless availability, they feel no fear, none at all. They know you'll answer. They know you'll show up. They know you will always forgive. You have become predictable. And predictability is the silent killer of desire, the slow poison to attraction. Let me make this painfully, liberatingly simple. They are not pulling away because they found someone better. That is the story your ego, in its pain, will try to tell you. They are not withdrawing because you are lacking in some way. They are pulling away precisely because you stopped being rare. You allowed your sacred value to become cheaply available. And no one, no soul on this earth, obsesses over what feels common, over what can be had without effort, without pursuit. This is not because it lacks intrinsic value, but because its value is too easy to access, too readily available. To reclaim your power, you must understand the art of sacred scarcity. Scarcity is not about playing games. It is not about manipulation or childish tactics. It is a profound spiritual act. It is about reclaiming your gravity. It is about remembering that your energy, your time, and your emotional presence are the most precious currencies you possess. As Machiavelli also wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool waits until he is completely drained, disrespected, and abandoned before he finally withdraws. The wise soul understands the need for strategic absence before the damage is done. Stop delaying your disappearance. Start making your presence expensive, a treasure to be earned, not a given to be expected. Consider the diamond. In its essence, it is merely carbon, the same element that makes up the humble charcoal. But it is transformed by immense pressure, by time, and by being hidden in the secret depths of the earth. Its value is a direct consequence of its rarity, of the journey required to find it. But now, imagine if someone handed you a bucket overflowing with flawless diamonds every single day, for free. At first, you would be ecstatic, but soon, would you still treasure each one? Would you still protect them with your life? Would you even notice if one went missing from the ever-growing pile? Of course not. They would become common. Their magic would be gone. You would start treating them like gravel. You, dear soul, are that diamond. You have been forged in the pressures of your own life, polished by your tears and your triumphs. You carry a unique, divine light within you. Yet you have been presenting yourself like common gravel, pouring out your brilliance in buckets, day after day, for free. It is time to get brutally honest with yourself. You were there when they had nothing and no one. You supported them when the world turned its back. You forgave their destructive patterns, again and again. You held their hand through the deepest chaos, serving as their anchor in a raging sea. And now they ghost. Now they delay. Now they entertain others while keeping you as a comfortable, reliable backup plan. They test the limits of your patience. They push the boundaries of your kindness, because they believe, deep down, that you are locked in. You have shown them through your actions that no matter what you do, no matter how you treat me, I will be here. That is not the frequency of love. That is the frequency of emotional imprisonment. And the cruelest truth of all, the bars of that prison were not built by them. They were built from your own unwavering, unreciprocated consistency. So let me tell you what happens when you finally embrace your own sacred worth and disappear. I do not mean a dramatic exit. I mean a quiet, powerful, energetic withdrawal. At first, they might feel relief. Finally, some space, they might think, arrogantly assuming this is just another temporary phase. They'll think you're sulking. They will be utterly convinced that you'll come back, just as you always have. Then, when you don't, they will begin to test the waters. A breadcrumb text, a casual, "Hey stranger," A meaningless like on a social media post from weeks ago. These are not gestures of genuine care. They are tentative feelers, checking to see if the old, predictable energy source is still connected, still available for them to plug into. They are expecting a reaction, any reaction, to confirm their control. But then, you don't bite, you don't respond, you don't orbit their world. You simply continue to exist in your own peaceful, self-contained universe. And that is the moment everything shifts. That is when it hits them like a physical force. They have lost control. For the very first time in your connection, you have introduced the electrifying element of uncertainty, and uncertainty creates obsession. Suddenly, they start wondering, where did you go? Who are you talking to? Are you done with me? Did you finally find someone else? Their mind will become a whirlwind. They will rewind every conversation, searching for clues they missed. They will decode every silence, projecting their own insecurities onto your newfound peace. They will stalk your online presence, looking for any sign, any hint of your new life. They will spiral. Why? Because humans do not chase what they understand. They chase what confuses them. They do not obsess over what they are sure of. They obsess over what feels like it is slipping through their fingers. This is the very point where most people stumble on their path to reclaiming their power. They pull away physically, but they still leak energy. They don't text back, but they watch every single one of the other person's stories. They don't call, but they accidentally like a recent post. They go quiet, but they stay digitally loud, broadcasting their pain through cryptic quotes and sad songs. That is not scarcity. That is theater. It is a performance of detachment, and the other person can feel the energetic strings still attached. They can sense your desperation behind the silence. True, sacred scarcity isn't pretending to be unavailable. It is the profound, soul-deep act of actually being gone, emotionally, mentally, energetically. You are not doing this to punish them. You are doing this to reset the balance of your own spiritual economy. Let me break down the divine formula for you. It is not about charm, or looks, or intelligence. It is this: high value plus limited access equals obsession. If you are always texting first, always explaining, always checking in, you have made yourself emotionally infinite. And anything infinite loses its mystique. There was once a man, let's call him Leo. Everyone in his life called him loyal, kind, dependable. He was the man who never missed a birthday, who always texted back immediately, who stayed even after being blatantly disrespected. He was a good man, but none of the people he gave everything to stayed. Why? Because Leo never introduced scarcity. He never withdrew. He never created tension. He was always, simply, there. And so, people learned to treat him like a piece of comfortable furniture. Useful, familiar, invisible. But then, one day, Leo changed. Not through rage, not through revenge, but through a quiet, dignified absence. He didn't ghost or announce his departure. He simply stopped showing up. He started pouring all that energy back into his own life, his own purpose, his own soul. And that is when they all came back. All of them. Not because they suddenly missed him as a person, but because they missed the version of themselves they could be when they had his unconditional validation. They missed the control they had over his predictable presence. Machiavelli said that men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. For too long, you have relied on love, and it has been taken for granted. Leo had been loved weakly, lazily, conveniently. But now they feared. They feared losing what they had so carelessly assumed would always be there. That is when obsession truly begins. You see, people don't value what's good for them. They value what's hard to get. You can be the most intelligent, giving, emotionally aware person in the world, but if you are too easy to access, they will devalue you like a common product on a crowded shelf. Why? Because your availability destroys tension, and tension is the very thing the human psyche latches onto. Think of the last time you couldn't reach someone you desperately wanted to. That space, that gap, that agonizing uncertainty, it made you think about them more, not less. Now, flip it. You have been too reachable, too ready, too Yes. And what has it brought you? Burnout, disrespect, emotional inflation, where your time and your heart became a cheap currency. Here is what Machiavelli would have told you. Appear rarely, and you will be desired intensely. Appear constantly, and you will be ignored effortlessly. Most people confuse scarcity with drama, but true scarcity isn't noisy. It is not a threat. It is not a tantrum. It is silence. It is unavailability. It is profound self-possession. You do not vanish to manipulate. You vanish to recalibrate. You do not remove yourself to hurt them. You remove yourself to remember your own divine value. And what happens when you finally, truly implement this? At first, confusion, then denial, then a desperate, frantic pursuit. They will check your profile. They will ask mutual friends about you. They will drop those "Hey stranger" messages, testing the waters. They are not reaching out because they suddenly love you. They are reaching out because they can no longer read you, and the loss of that power is unbearable. Machiavelli knew. It is much safer to be feared than loved when one of the two must be lacking. Fear, in this case, is the fear of losing access to someone they could always predict. Now that you are unpredictable, now that you don't orbit their attention, now that you don't react, they panic. They panic because they realize you have finally stopped needing them. But here is the final twist. They do not come back with full commitment. They come back light, safe, casual, non-committal. They are checking for weakness. They are watching for cracks. One emotional leak from you alike, a fast reply, a post that screams, "I'm still thinking about you," and the illusion is shattered. They know you are still emotionally available. That is why your silence must be absolute. Because every reaction is a relapse, and every relapse is a silent message that says, "You still have access to my emotions. You are not here to prove anything. You are not here to win. You are not even here to make them miss you. You are here to reset your power." Let them obsess. Let them spiral. Let them send texts into the void, because now you are scarce. And scarcity, it creates mythology. You are no longer that person who replies in seconds. You are not that presence they could always depend on to boost their ego. You are now a figure in the fog, mysterious, unreachable, chosen. And the less they see of you, the more they think about you. Do not make the mistake of announcing your detachment. Do not post quotes. Do not subtweet. Do not seek revenge. Real power is quiet. It moves without warning. It acts without explanation. Because if they know you're trying to look powerful, you've already lost. True scarcity doesn't say, "Look at me walking away." It simply walks and keeps walking until they realize you are no longer coming back. And by the time they do, you have forgotten how to even miss them. Let's make it simple. If you want to be remembered, disappear silently. If you want to be valued, become expensive. If you want to be chased, stop being predictable. And if you want to be truly powerful, then follow Machiavelli's final brutal rule. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Let your absence feel like a theft. Let them feel like they lost something they never truly owned. And above all, let them realize, in the chilling silence, that they can no longer reach you.